This is a Cinderella story about a 1977 Mercury 1500 150 horsepower outboard that was brought back to life after months of frustration. It was leaking fuel, frequently died, and not running at full speed. However, it's a Cinderella story with a very happy ending. We restored the transom and floor in the Sidewinder that was purchased from one of my subscribers who followed our previous restoration on YouTube. The Mercury engine was sourced from another Sidewinder owner and subscriber. So my lifelong friend Peter and I brought the engine down to Merc's on L6 in West Virginia to help make it talk. We have 125 pounds of compression in all 6 cylinders and spark. Our plan was to spend the day replacing the fuel lines, the fuel pump, rebuilding the carbs, setting the timing, and then doing the water pump. We first put it in the water and it peed like a racehorse. It ran great on the muffs and sitting at the dock. However, on the water it was a different story. We noticed the fuel would leak out the carbs when we squeezed the bulb. The engine would regularly die and it was difficult to restart. And when it was running, it just never reached its full potential. At first we thought it was the leaking floats. After multiple attempts at replacing needles and seats, I eventually bought new old stock parts to try. It was there in the new old stock part instructions that it clearly said, "Do not check the seals with your fingers." Here I am checking the seals with my fingers. However, I got lucky with the new parts and the heightened seal was exactly where it needed to be. So I installed the new old stock parts, flipped it over, and was lucky enough to see that the level was currently correct. This solved the leaking fuel issue. We also sealed off the bypass tube with new shrink material. On the next seat trial, it would still cut out and die and nearly impossible to restart. Most of the symptoms were on acceleration. Then I remembered one of the members on Facebook saying that it's probably, or it could be one of the pins that's on the harness and it could be shorting out. Sure enough, this was an issue with the external harness and we replaced the control box. The next issue was, even though it ran well and it never died, it still sounded like it was running on 6 cylinders. Wearing electrician's gloves, Peter pulled the wires. Sure enough, cylinders in 5 and 6 had no perceptible change. There was spark on 5 and 6, so either it was the bottom carb wasn't working, or as someone suggested, the lower crank seal is bad and we wasted a lot of time on this engine. Another friend suggested I spray some fuel into the lower carb, but the front support makes it almost impossible to do. So our logic was, if it wasn't getting fuel, it probably would have seized up already. And if it was a lower crank seal, we would see raw fuel coming out the exhaust. At that point, we decided to buy and rebuild another lower carburetor before parting out the engine. Since they all look the same, and there are several available, I took a photo of the middle carburetor, and it was a WMK22. For some unexplained reason, we never realized that the bottom carb was a WMK14. Our Hail Mary replacement of the lower carb with the WMK22-3 from a 150 worked. The engine now has ideal mid-range and full throttle performance. This is what your face will look like at a little over 3,200 RPMs at 30 miles per hour. This is what it looks like prior to maxing out at 5,800 RPMs with a 23-inch pitch chopper prop. The tachometer will instantly hit 5,100 RPMs, and under the right conditions, meaning C conditions, will slowly climb to 5,800. At 5,800 RPMs, we maxed out at 55.4 miles per hour, We had 2 adults in the boat with about 9 gallons of fuel. At 4,000 RPMs, it glides along at 40 miles an hour. So there you have it, a Cinderella story. This Mercury 1500 with multiple issues was sorted out to become a reliable engine I would take anywhere. Please feel free to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Have a great day today and every day.